Welcome to Airgun Extra, brought to you in association with Crackshot, the Southwest's premier airgun centre and ranges. In this week's episode, I'm going to be taking a look at the BSA Air Sport SL, but before that, I'm heading out to do one of my most favourite types of springtime pest control. Right, I'm out to hopefully shoot a few grey squirrels using very simple sit and wait tactics. Now, in all honesty, you would almost certainly shoot more if you set up a feeder and a hide, but I really like the simplicity of this approach. There's no faffing around keeping feeders topped up, and it's just a really nice way to shoot at this time of year. But with spring approaching, we're running out of time because the truth is, when the trees are in full leaf, it's very difficult to spot squirrels up in the treetops and also to get clear shots at them. So yeah, I'm going to find what looks like a promising spot, get settled in, and hopefully we'll bag a few. Right, so I've just done my usual thing that I tend to do when I start an ambush, and that's just have a quick ping around with the laser rangefinder. I've spoken about it before, but all I'm doing is checking the distance to a few prominent trees where I hope to see squirrels moving later on, and that just means that I know the distance to those trees and can apply appropriate aim off, hold over or hold under, without having to get the rangefinder out again, move about and potentially spook the squirrels. So yeah, this is the little spot that we've decided to settle in. It's a little spinny away from the main woods, which means it often gets overlooked, but there are clearly a few squirrels here. We've seen a couple of drays, and there's also quite a lot of tree damage here where they've been bark stripping those trees. I mentioned earlier, for really effective pest control, you really do need to set up a feeder, and I've got no doubt that what I will end up doing is setting up a bait station here and come back and do a much more thorough job. But we'll just sit and wait today and see what comes along. Well, that was a good start, and it didn't take too long for that one to come out after the disturbance of our arrival and settling in. That was up in a big solitary softwood tree about 25 metres away. I gave it just a touch of hold under, and you'll see from the scope cam footage it dangled for a while, took a while to drop, but that's usually the sign of a classic headshot. It was lights out, dropped like a stone eventually, and I can see that it's stone dead on the deck there. Now, like I said, didn't have to wait too long for that one. It's quite a relief because we're fairly out in the open here. It's quite sunny at the moment. I haven't got a hide, but I've sat down against this stump. Got a reasonable backdrop of cover behind me and a few stems and things in front, but yeah, I did wonder if we were a little bit too exposed, and this is certainly the sort of conditions when you really want your head net. It certainly makes me feel more comfortable when I haven't got a hide screen, just to know that that sort of light skin of my face is covered, particularly when you've got sunlight glinting like it is today. that one was in almost exactly the same spot as the first one, up in that softwood. Had to thread the pellet actually, past a few twigs to make that shot, but it's a nice clean headshot. Again, it did dangle for a while, but that squirrel was stone dead, and again I can see it's cleanly killed on the ground. But yes, nice to be getting so much action so early in the session. Well, that one was very close. Just came out and froze. Pretty sure it knew we were here, to be honest. It was only about 15 metres away. Quite a straightforward shot, except I did notice there was a bit of a glare in the sight picture, so I assume some low slanting light catching me. Although the squirrel was in the shade, there was obviously a bit of light creeping in from somewhere. But anyhow, a very, very straightforward shot, and yeah, a bit of a longer wait for that one, but it's certainly more productive than I'd expected it to be, so that's a good thing. There's one. Wow. Apologies if that one is slightly blurry when you see the scope cam footage. That squirrel came out and froze between two trees. Offered me a nice clear shot, but I was really worried that it was going to run on, so I didn't take too long fine-tuning the focus there. But yeah, it was about 30 metres, pretty much bang on zero. Another really nice clean kill. As I keep saying, session's going really well. I'm surprised just how many squirrels there are in this little spinney, and in fact, I think the fact that it is quite a small copse is the big advantage, because it's quite a confined area. Pretty much any squirrel that comes out here is within range of where I'm sat. So yeah, we've picked a good spot, and yeah, plenty of activity. Right, well, I'm afraid it's gone quiet now, and although I've got every confidence that we would get more shots if we stayed through till dark, I'm afraid I've got family commitments and we need to get going. But you know, it's been a good session, and I think it goes to show the importance of not neglecting these little spinnies away from the main blocks of woodland, because they offer squirrels little sanctuaries, and they've definitely got a foothold here. And I will certainly be coming back, setting up a bait station and a hide, and returning to do a much more thorough job on them. But look, before we get going, I know a lot of you always ask about the kit, so I will give you a quick run through the kit that we've been using, you know, with pretty good success in this session. So the gun is my FX DRS Classic, sub 12 foot-pounds, just a lovely, accurate, multi-shot PCP, and like I say, sub 12, and it's been all the gun that we've needed for this session. Shots out to about 30 metres. It's absolutely bang on. It's done the job brilliantly. I have got the Eagle Vision Cam Helia moderator on here. The sound suppression that provides is absolutely brilliant. It's a calibre specific moderator with inserts that you put in relative to the calibre of your gun, which obviously improves efficiency. but it certainly helped keep things quiet for this session. Ammo wise, I am using JTS dead center pellets. As I said, the gun's 177 caliber. I'm using the heavier 10.4 grain version. This gun gets on really well with them. A couple of months ago, actually, Rich Saunders did a really detailed review video of JTS pellets. Tested them in all calibers, and obviously it doesn't mean you're going to get the same results as he did, but do take a look at that. Optics wise, I have got the Element Optics Helix scope on here. Really nice optic, very good optical quality, particularly for its price point. The point that I always make is that the scope cam footage you see probably isn't going to be as clear as what I would see without the scope cam on here, because you've got a tiny lens on the GoPro. Never quite does it justice. And the scope is mounted as ever with Sports Match scope mounts. They're my go-to mounts. British made, sensibly priced, really, really good quality. I've been using them literally for decades. Get on really well with them. And I suppose the other piece of kit is my Primos trigger stick tripod. Just a fantastic piece of kit for keeping those shots on target. However good a shot you are, particularly when you're sat in a slightly uncomfortable position like this, there are going to be wobbles. You get a tripod like this, it just eliminates that human factor, those wobbles of the human body, and as you'll have seen, it's just kept my shots absolutely pinpoint. We've had 4 shots for 4 clean kills. So yeah, I think that's the main kit items. They've done a great job today. I'm going to get these squirrels picked up and head for home. Don't forget to give us a follow on the Airgun Extra Facebook page. We use it to keep you bang up to date with all of our video, podcast and website releases. Right then, next up, let's take a look at the new BSA Air Sport SL. I've been looking forward to getting my hands on this gun since I saw it at the British Shooting Show. It's the new BSA Air Sport SL. Distributed in the UK by Rangerite, it has a recommended retail price of £899. Now this one actually has the extended accessory rail fore end, and that costs an additional £129.99. This is very much a British-made BSA airgun. In fact, I think there are only a couple of components that are made outside of the UK. It certainly feels robust, and it is quite a substantial gun that measures 104 centimetres with the supplied silencer fitted. I think it's about 87 centimetres without it. Overall weight is about 3.4 kilos, and that is with that fore end accessory rail extension fitted. Length of pull is a fairly long 39 centimetres. Now I actually really like that, although shooters with a smaller frame may find it a bit of a handful. The Air Sport SL certainly has a tactical look to it with its black synthetic stock. However, it handles much more like a traditional sporter, which I really appreciate. Now, I've mentioned the fore-end extension. I really like that because I feel it's much more stable shooting off of a bipod when you've got it mounted further forward. Now, that extension gives you a total of about 180 millimeters of clamping space, although you still get about 30 millimeters of rail without it. The fore end of the Airgun Extra stock is stippled, and it also features some nice grooves that help to improve grip. Now, further back, you've got a lovely steep pistol grip. It's got a really nice swell to it that really does fill the palm, and behind that is a large thumbhole cutaway with plenty of room to accommodate bigger hands. The cheek piece is not height adjustable, but it does have a nice high comb, and it's given me good eye scope alignment. Now, you've also got a sling attachment point on the underside there back towards the butt, and the butt pad is made from ventilated rubber and does actually have a bit of squashiness to it. Now, that butt pad is height adjustable, but don't make the mistake that I did and slacken off the retaining screw too much, because if you do, it's got quite a short thread and it will fall into the butt section of the stock. Now, removing the butt pad to retrieve it isn't too tricky, but it's best avoided. Nonetheless, that adjustability is a really nice feature and just helps to improve that eye scope alignment. The Air Sport SL has a 15-inch floating barrel, and that is BSA's famous cold hammer forged barrel, which is renowned for being very accurate. So I've already mentioned that you get a silencer supplied. Now, it is quite a slim silencer, but it still does a pretty good job of keeping shots quiet. But if you screw it off, at the end of the muzzle, you've got a 1/2-inch UNF thread if you did want to swap it out for something meatier. Scope mounting is via a Picatinny rail that gives you a generous 170 millimeters of clamping space. Now, the thing that I really like about this rail is that it's not interrupted. It sits above the magazine, so you don't need to worry about choosing scope mounts to give you sufficient clearance. The Air Sport SL actually runs BSA's R10 magazine. Now, I've been using these magazines for years. They're very reliable and they've never let me down. It's also quite an affordable magazine, so it's not too expensive if you want to get spares. It holds 10 shots in 177 and 2.2 calibers and 8 in .25. It's very pellet friendly and also features a counter. The cocking and loading system is driven by a side lever action. Now, it's absolutely great, but it can't be reversed for left-handers. Now, the side lever features quite a small drop-down handle, but it works perfectly well and you can get a decent purchase on it even when wearing gloves. In operation, it's got that familiar, positive BSA feel to it. It works like clockwork and it's absolutely reliable. The trigger setup feels very good to me. Now, I really like the shoe type blade, and that can be adjusted for height and angle. It's also nice and wide and feels great against the pad of the finger. So the 2-stage trigger release can also be adjusted, but I did my usual thing and tested it straight out of the box because that is how I imagine most people will use it. On this one, the first stage is quite deep. It comes to a very positive stop before a predictable second stage break with absolutely no creep. The safety catch is positioned towards the rear of the left side of the action block. It's well away from the trigger blade, which I really like. Now, the configuration of the stock means that you can't just flick it with the thumb of your trigger hand, but it's still easy enough to access, and it's near silent in operation, which I'm sure hunters like me will really appreciate. So it's in the safe position when it's back, and then you simply push it forwards when you're ready to take the shot. This is a full power air gun. It's running at 11.4 foot-pounds with 177 caliber BSA Gold Star pellets. Now, it also happens to be regulated, so it's got very consistent power output. Variation is remaining within 7 feet per second over a 10-shot string, and that is with pellets taken straight from the tin. Now,
The efficiency of that regulator is working in tandem with the 300cc carbon wrap bottle to deliver a pretty healthy shot count. Maximum fill pressure is 232 bar. From a full charge, you can expect about 260 shots in 177 caliber and more than 300 in 22 and .25. So onboard pressure within that bottle is displayed on a gauge that's sunken into the belly of the stock. Next to that is a Foster connection for the inlet where you couple up to refill. Now I've got a BSA R12 and Ultra SE of my own, so I've got a pretty good idea of what these guns are capable of when it comes to accuracy, and this one hasn't disappointed. That high quality barrel and regulated firing cycle are doing their job, and that amounts to very precise shot placement. At 30 meters from the support of a bench, it is shooting very tight single hole groups. Pushing it out to 40 meters, it's still comfortably well within 20mm grouping. So this airgun is more than capable when it comes to pest control. So there you have the main features and performance of the BSA Air Sport SL. Now its styling is a bit of a departure from the Birmingham gunmaker's more established offerings, but this is a very functional airgun and you can still feel that BSA pedigree is in there. It's accurate, but it's also robust enough to give proper service in the field without having to wrap it in cotton wool. I really like it.
The Great British Shooting Show hits the NEC Birmingham from the 12th to the 14th of February 2027, the UK's biggest and best shooting event. Tickets coming soon.
I'm afraid that's all we've got time for this week, but as ever, we'll be back with much more in 2 weeks' time. Thank you for tuning in, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks again to Crackshot. There is a link to their website in the show description. As I said, we're back with more in a fortnight. Until then, enjoy your shooting and stay safe.